What's up, everybody? We are back for another episode of Fireflies Forever. Um, no technical issues this week, which is a good thing. We'll take it. So thank you all for joining. Everyone in the chat, we appreciate you being here. And let me bring on these two fine gentlemen here. We got Joe. What's up, Joe? How you doing this week?
I'm doing great. How about yourself, man? I'm ready, excited to talk about last night was big, man. Last night was big.
Indeed, it was, and I'm excited to get to it and talk about it and see what everyone thought about a bunch from last night. But yeah, just ready to dive into that conversation here in a little bit. And Chris, what's up, man? How you doing this week?
Doing good. Been excited all day to talk about this. That was what a match last night.
Yeah, and just to peek behind the curtain, I want you to share with the chat what you said to me before we got started.
I said WWE showed us last night the proper way to do a street fight.
It was really well done. So
great point. Yeah, it really was. Camera angles and all, like everything just was good. Like they didn't miss a trick. Like when something was happening, they wanted you to see. Like a lot of times that can go a little crazy because they're trying to camera all over the place. But yeah, they absolutely killed it.
Yeah, they did. I imagine, trying to keep tabs on 8 people and what they're all doing at all the same time can be tough. And they did a really good job with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that stuff is not easy. Like for folks who aren't as familiar with the tech stuff, there's someone in the back that has access to every single camera, and they have to at the right time pick the right camera, and there's a lot of art and anticipation in that. So
and also even like tell people, hey, this is coming up, get this shot or whatever. Like, I've actually done that at my church before. It's a complex job, and the art is way smaller scale than WWE.
Yeah, and I mean, you got all the people there, and you got millions of people watching at home. It's got to shout out the background folks from time to time, because it is a very it's a tough job, and not a lot of people realize that. So, as we do, I do want to start with memories, and Chris has a video for us this week, so I'll have Chris set that up, and then we'll play the video for you all.
So I came across this video clip the other day and just thought it'd be a cool thing to share. It's something real simple. But it just shows Jodie doing something that she loved, and that was being a mom. This is her teaching Logan how to play peekaboo when he was a little baby.
It's a beautiful video, so I'm happy to share it with everyone right now. We'll talk to you on the other side.
There he is.
There he is. Where's Logan? Where's Logan? Where's Logan? Where's Logan? There he is. There he is. Where's Logan? There he is. Where's Logan? Are you playing peekaboo?
Oh, that's beautiful. That is beautiful, man. Thank you so much for sharing, Chris. We really appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah,
Jodie had an infectious laugh. She really did. She really did.
Absolutely.
Me and my best friend often talk about that when we talk about her. Her laugh and her smile was just so infectious. She just was always smiling no matter what.
Yep, absolutely.
That was a beautiful memory, and so glad we all got a chance to see it. Definitely want to talk about something else and go through something else that was a passion of hers, which is artwork. So We've got our artwork showcase. And again, folks, I'm gonna keep doing this until we get with artwork. But
Need more.
Yeah, we need more. Send us your art. Send us your artwork. We want to see it. We want to display it. We want to share it. So I'm gonna start out here with some art, and I did have a very constructive comment, and I appreciate it, to make the art larger so people can see more detail and we can talk behind it. So I appreciate the comment and the feedback. So anything we can do to make things better. So we're gonna start out here.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, I heard he does great work, man. Always doing something. And yeah, I mean, a character that not a lot of us are ever going to forget for sure. And whenever you think of Bray, that's, you think of the Fiend. And a lot of people are even, see wrestling talking about possibilities, always possibility of whether somebody could bring that back somehow, especially knowing that they have that other costume kind of lying in wait there. I don't know if it'll ever happen because I'm not sure that Bo would go that route, but yeah, that's really, really well done.
Yeah, it is. It's awesome. Great detail in there too.
Yep.
Another by Howdy sketch.
I like that.
This could have been a thing, right? That's what makes you feel like, that's what hits you in the feels, is this could have been a thing.
Oh, I know.
You could have gotten these two masked guys together at some point in the ring, man, and it would have been devastation. Great.
No. What a tag team this could have been.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. The Fiend and just his overpoweringness, and Bo he's got a little bit of quickness, and we saw some of that yesterday too. That he could be sneaky quick. And they would have been tremendous, man. Tremendous. Better than the Brothers of Destruction for sure.
Yeah.
So that they would have been unbelievable.
Absolutely. So this one is someone I actually used to work with this young man's mother, and I don't know how I came across his page, but for some reason I did, and he had this artwork that he did based on the movie. I'm trying to think of it.
Soul.
Yeah, but he did this based on that, and I thought it was really cool.
I like how he even has the taped thumb like Bray had too.
Yeah. So if you want to give him a follow, if you're on Facebook, give him a follow. But this is the picture a little more up close. But I thought this was amazing too. I love it.
That's really cool.
It's really clever.
Yeah, something new, never been done before. Yeah, that's very neat. Very, very cool.
And then we've got some tattoos here.
Oh yes. Wow, look at that. That's awesome with the moth and the lantern in the background.
Yeah, I like that.
Very, very cool. Very cool. Wow, that's cool too. That's very unique.
Yeah,
very different take on it. It's like a different type of moth.
It's like the Death's Head moth from Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you're right. It's more realistic, I think. Like Bray's was always upside down. It looked a little different, but this one looks like a realistic version of the moth. Yeah, it's very cool. The logo's even cool. How they have it like, looks like it's a little worn and stuff in places. Very, very neat. Nice. That's awesome. I'd imagine that's gotta hurt, man. Right on the hand. That's gotta hurt.
That text on the knuckles, like
yeah, right. With the when the text has to be detailed like that. Oh man.
Yeah, I don't know that I would be able to sit for that.
Yeah,
because that looks a little bit painful.
Yeah, anything where it's bony, I can imagine it. It's probably not going to feel too well.
Hmm.
Yeah, but very cool.
Any music this week? If someone in the chat has any music they want to share, I know Joe shared one with me last week. So, but any music that anyone wants to shout out while we're here.
I'll do a couple quick while people are thinking of it. So David Gilmour's album, Jeff, is out completely now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's called Luck and Strange. So if you're a fan of Pink Floyd, check it out. David does amazing work, and there's that one song that still gets me with his daughter. Actually, there's two that she does on there, which are really, really good. And then if you are into 80s stuff, there is a band called The Midnight. Check them out. They have a new single out called Chariot. Very, very cool. It sounds like they could be part of 80s soundtracks, a lot of synth and drums and all that, and the electric drum and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, the David Gilmour album is really good, Jeff. What did you think of it? Did you get to hear it all?
Haven't had a chance to check it all out yet, but everything that I've heard so far, absolutely love it. So
yeah, it's really good.
I'll probably play it a little bit more this evening.
Yeah, very, very good album.
Yeah. Chris, you have any music you want to shout out?
Actually, I did. A friend of mine, let me pull it up real quick. I can't remember the name of it. A friend of mine showed me this the other day, and I just started listening to them. They're really cool. It's his name is Josiah Queen, and his music it gives me a real like Mumford and Sons vibe. I've always been a huge fan of theirs, and they haven't really been putting out music much like that. I'm not sure what's going on with them, but yeah, I found this guy's name Josiah Queen. His music reminds me a lot of Mumford and Sons. Really cool vibe to it.
There was one bit of big music news. Now I didn't see it because I've never been like a huge fan of this band, but Linkin Park is back, and they have a new lead singer, a female lead singer that they have, and she's pretty good. I listened to it. They had a live stream concert that they put out on YouTube. I watched some of it, and they did a lot of their classic stuff, and she's good. She's a really, really good voice on her. And so that was kind of cool. I know a lot of people are excited, and they have an album coming out with her in a couple of months. So for people that are fans of Linkin Park, I know a lot of people were pretty happy about that.
Yeah, it's good stuff, man. Good stuff. All right. Well, I guess it's time for us to talk about last night.
Yes.
So let's do it. And I want to start here because I know we've talked about a lot, but I guess we'll start here before we get into just general thoughts about last night as a whole. But what did you think of how Nikki was? She didn't keep on the mask. She had some paint underneath. So what did you think about that? We'll start with Chris and then go over to Joe.
I thought she looked awesome. But we kind of theorized that was probably what would happen. She would take the mask off and have her face paint underneath. And yeah, I thought she looked really good. The moves she did and stuff was incredible. She just really went at it. She just gave her all in that match. It was awesome, especially pulling off a German on Chad Gable.
Yeah, that was tremendous. That was tremendous. Joe, what did you think about the way Nikki was presented last night, and what were your thoughts on her?
Well, point number one, she didn't walk backwards. She bent over backwards and crawled out from under the ring at one point, but no backwards walking, so I'm good with that. Yeah, look, she's perfectly fine not wearing that mask. She's creepy without it. Mm-hmm. Like the face paint that they have on her is creepy looking. Later on in the match, after she'd been sweating a little bit, she looked even creepier because then it started to run. Like the makeup started to run on her face, the lipstick started running down a little bit. But I'll tell you what, I'm extremely happy for her. You could see how happy she was when she did that German. She ran over to the middle of the ring, stuck both of her arms out, and just stood there like, yes. That was amazing. Like sometimes kayfabe is great and keeping it is great, but like when you see a wrestler do that, And how long has it been since she's been in a ring, man? You know, like it's yeah, there you go. Like that was amazing. Like after she did this, she's like, yeah, just standing there with her fist pump. And I'm like, that's amazing, man. I just love to see that for her. I'm so happy. I love that she's in this role. I really do. She fits perfectly in the group, and man, I mean, I love she's got like the veins painted on her arms and stuff like that, dude. Like when that
it was great when she popped out and Ivy Niles, like, oh crap.
when that makeup started running and stuff, and the lines were there, and then the makeup coming down her mouth, she looks even creepier there. She looks like she has some blood like on her lips and stuff. I am so happy for Nikki. She's brilliant. I love rooting for her. I always liked her as a wrestler. I rooted for her when she was that superhero gimmick too. I mean, I just love her, and I'm very happy for her. She really showed out yesterday. Like honestly, if you were to ask me for this entire match, who impressed me the most, it was Nikki. Nikki showed out for 100%.
Oh yeah, you could tell she gave it her all.
Yep.
Yeah, it was. And to your point, Joe, Jesse is saying Nikki's face paint was on point, and so was her wrestling. One thing I love is that she got to remind people just how good she is, good a wrestler she is. I feel like people forgot about how good she is in the ring because we didn't see much of it in her last couple of roles. And what's up, Big Bang Matt? How are you?
Very true. Very, very true, Jesse. Great point. Yeah, it's like I said, she really stood out. And here's the thing: we didn't even know she was going to wrestle because at first she wasn't there. She wasn't there to be seen when they first came down to the ring. And I'm like, what the hell are they doing? They're not going to have her down there. And then all of a sudden, it was brilliant. She did it amazing.
Yeah. All right, so let's get to the rest of the match. And obviously, it was a street fight. We'll start with Joe this time, but just overall thoughts on the match and the physicality of it, and what just your impressions.
I love the fact that they had a commercial-free first hour, and they were able to give it all the time it needed.
It didn't go on later, or were you okay with it going on?
No, I was okay with them starting it. When I heard that they were going to do that because they advertised it ahead of time that it was going to be commercial-free, I'm like, yep, I bet you it starts the show. Because I knew we were having that match too for the Intercontinental thing going on, and I figured, it's going to main event. This will be first because they're having the commercial free, and I think they probably did the commercial free just for this because they didn't want to cut away. There's so many things I could go over that I loved about this match. The whole thing with Rowan, man, they made him look like just a complete animal, and he got over so much. Then they buried him with the chairs, and again, by burying him with all that stuff, just makes you realize how powerful he is. That's something that they would do to a Braun Strowman, or they would do to a massive guy. Like years ago, they would do it to Andre the Giant or Big John Studd. That's that you want to keep those guys down. And then he blasts out of it later on. I mean, he looked incredible last night. And, looked like he was looks like he's doing well. I'm always a little afraid he might, come across an injury, but it looked like he was doing really well. Look, there was a lot of back and forth. There was a lot of times when the Wyatt family was looking like they were pretty much decimated a lot. And Chad's group there was doing really well with the kendo sticks and stuff, and looked like they had him down. So again, I don't want to hear anybody bitching and saying, "Oh, you made them look too powerful. Oh, they're super." No, man, they plenty of times looked like they were going to lose that match, and so this was scripted really well. I didn't see any issues, any mistakes, anything like that. I loved it all. I loved everything that they did. Rowan pulling off the damn side of the wall. I mean, come on. When you see someone pull off the side of a wall and hit somebody with the wall, I mean, that was brilliant. It was just, and Howdy just outside biding his time, just in the rocking chair, just biding his time, rocking like this. A couple of times he was intense. He's looking, is it time for me to go? Time for me to go? Nope. I'll just sit back again and rock. And then I'll go, oh, is he? Nope. And then finally just pick this spot and comes in right when they needed him. So brilliant. There's not a thing I can complain about this. This is honestly, and I think we were talking about it before the show, probably the best street fight I think I've seen. Usually these things are just a mess. This is honestly one of the most best choreographed ones I think I've ever seen.
Definitely good stuff. Chris, your thoughts, man?
Yeah, I heard somebody say that on something I was watching, commenting about it, and they're like, that was a PLE match right there. You could put that match on any PLE and it would have been fantastic. It would have fit right in. So yeah, that was a great way to start Raw. I'm guessing part of that probably too, with them having that match early, was Monday Night Football started last night.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they wanted to get the eyes on while they could.
Yeah.
But yeah, one of the things I really noted about that match that I loved was I love how much we're seeing the Wyatts have some very creative moves that you don't always see. Like there was one point where Dexter did a kip up and then turned it into a leg drop that just looked so cool. And then Joe Gacy had a move where he was thrown in the ropes, but he turned it into he flipped upside down and came back off the ropes and did a double clothesline. Like these guys just have incredible moves. It's so awesome to see how good they are in the ring and what they've been able to develop. Not only doing some of Bray's moves, but coming up with their own too.
Yeah, it was so, to your point, there are just so many creative moves that they do. And I really love when a faction or a tag team does moves that incorporate other members.
Mm-hmm.
And they do something that's a little bit unique. Like every single one of them has a different move set. They have some of the same stuff, as a tribute to Bray, but like you said, but everyone has their own role, and I love that, and they all know it very well. So, Chris, gonna go right back to you here. Do you think at this point has Chad Gable learned his lesson?
I don't know if he's learned his lesson because I think he has a big ego, but I think that at the very least he's gonna just be like, "Oh, forget this. I'm moving on to something else. I'm whatever. That's in the past now."
Joe, what about you?
I think this is a good place to end it. Yeah, I think this is a good place. Because what else can they do? What else is there left to do after you do something like this? The only other thing you could do is put him in a cage, but we already heard last night that cage match is going to happen. Hell in a Cell is going to happen with Drew and Punk, which makes a lot of sense with that feud. But yeah, I think this is a good place to leave it. But like Chris said, Chad's cocky, and Chad will never learn his lesson, just because that's his personality. But yeah, I think it's good to leave it here. And now everybody could start to wonder, well, what's next? What's next? And I really think that maybe, and we've been getting some clues, right? C has pointed out a lot of little clues we've been getting, and I think maybe some of those clues now start to come to fruition. I know there was a journal entry in the diary that C pointed out for the first time in a while. So they're going back to the little the hints and little clues and stuff like that, and so maybe they're going to move on, maybe do some singles things. Maybe we'll see Nikki go in a little singles thing now, and now that they kind of spotlighted them all. But I do believe, though, that they're going to move on. I really don't think there's anything left to do with this feud. They've proven themselves. They took down, they won every one of these matches. They've taken them down. There's nothing more that they need to prove with these guys.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's not like it's been a close, a very competitive feud here. Chris, same question. Do you think this is it for this storyline? I guess for now.
I think so. I guess, like Joe said, I feel like this is a good place to end it. I feel like if you going on beyond this is sort of something shocking that we're not thinking about or seeing, like it just feels like it would just be dragging on at this point. what more ways can they beat up American Made at this point? They've dominated them every match they've had, or at least in the in the end. And so yeah, I think it was a good feud. And yeah, I think it felt like it was a good amount of time, good amount of matches and stuff. But yeah, I think it's time to move on.
Yeah. And I think to your point when you mentioned it was a good feud, I think it did two things. It made the Wyatt Sicks look dominant, but it also established Chad Gable as a real heel. Like he's a heel.
Oh yeah, and built up this new faction he has now.
Exactly. So that's kind of
and maybe compete for tag titles or whatever now. And
yeah. I think that when you draw it up, you hope that both parties involved in a feud will benefit from being in said feud. So I definitely think that's the case for both parties.
Yeah, like I've said before, this reminds me so much of the Bray LA Knight feud.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, look at the meteoric rise that LA Knight had after that. I mean, it's crazy. So obviously you both say, hey, I think this is done. So the obvious next question is who and what is next? So Big Bang Matt has thrown out a couple names of groups here. You've got he says, wait, what about the Judgment Day? Then he says, what about the Bloodline? So Joe, who do you think is the next target? And the second part of that question is, how long do you think it takes before we get to the Judgment Day or the Bloodline?
I don't think they're going to touch the Bloodline, being that they're so involved now with the Cody thing and probably with the Roman thing when Roman's coming back and everything like that. So I don't think they're going to go that direction yet. And plus, they're on two different shows that make it a little hard until they decide to, shake things up with the rosters and stuff. Judgment Day would make sense, but I think they've got a little while to go too with them because they're going to be in a feud with Rhea and with Damian Priest and everything like that. So, and it looks like now they got on Rey Mysterio's bad side. So there might be a whole thing where Rhea might end up teaming up with, Jey Uso and Damian, and it might be Rey even maybe with them, and they might have some kind of a big 4-on-4 going there. Both would make sense because they both had family issues. I'm thinking though that we might get just some vignettes for the next couple of weeks. I think we might just start getting, like C pointed out in his video last night, we might start getting like more clues, more journal entries. We might start getting more teases and stuff like that, just to kind of start feeding us as to who it could be that they're going to go after. And it doesn't necessarily need to be a faction. Like I said, maybe they split off a little bit. Maybe we get a tag team, maybe we get Gacy and Loomis are going to go after somebody, and maybe we get Nikki that's going to go after. So there are already teases about Nikki who she could be, possibly wrestling. So maybe they just split up a little bit for now, and then they come back to, because I don't know if they want to overdo the faction thing either, or it's always going to be the four of them. So maybe it's a good time for maybe to split off a little bit. And in that case, even Uncle Howdy could wrestle, one-on-one matches as well. So yeah, I think that would be. I think we're going to get some vignettes, maybe some videos, probably this coming Monday. Don't be surprised if we don't see them in action for a little bit, because we did get that that whole big buildup and everything before we saw them at all. So they have that they could go back to. Just give us some hints and some clues and things like that as to who might be next, like Bray used to, right? With the posters in the funhouse and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I kind of think that's what we're going to see for a little while. I don't think there'll be I know someone said in the last week's show that they had heard that they weren't going to be in any pay-per-views. I believe that. I think it was James that said that. They probably won't. And they're just going to be content to just keep doing this on Raw. And remember now, Raw is going to be only a 2-hour show going forward until the end of the year. So that could work into it as well, where they're going to have a limited amount of time that they can put people on Raw now. So maybe the vignettes would be, a good thing until they really decide what they want to do.
Yeah, I think those are all great points, Joe. Chris, man, same question. Who do you think is next? And then the second part of that is, when do you think they get to Judgment Day or Bloodline?
Yeah, I agree with Joe. I think we definitely could see them kind of branch off. We got another Pluto symbol behind Damage Control last night. That's like 3 now. So I definitely think Nikki's coming after them at some point. And then I've heard rumors of possibly Drew McIntyre being involved in them, so maybe Howdy targets him. Yeah, I think it would be kind of cool to branch them off and have them go after separate people, because if they only go after factions, they're going to run out of factions pretty darn soon. So they need to go after other people, independently too. And I feel like that fits them well with what they're trying to accomplish. They're trying to go after anybody that is, cause harm to a family or whatever. So there's going to be more than just factions that did that. Sometimes solo people are going to need to get got too. So
Yeah,
I think it'd be good for them to break off and do that. But I definitely could, see them. I mean, obviously, we've already gotten a tease from Triple H a while back about the Bloodline down the road. But, I think that's probably maybe even a year away. Who knows? They've got a lot of Bloodline story left to get through. And Judgment Day I could see happening before that. Who I really would love to see in the near future is the Final Testament. I would love to see a Wyatt Sicks Final Testament feud.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
and I think that will be beneficial for Final Testament, because if we're being honest,
exactly. That's the part of it I'm thinking. I hate that. I feel like they've been kind of struggling. I love them, but I know a lot of people are not huge fans of theirs. I feel like that feud could really get them over. I love Karrion Kross, and I want to see him more popular.
yeah, I think if you did a program with them, there's a lot of different things you could do, and Nikki could get Scarlett in a ring, which WWE hasn't seen that yet.
Yeah,
sign
me up for the match.
Yeah, for real. So, I was actually going to say Final Testament, what we thought about them, because again, they're kind of cool right now. The momentum is not where it was. So I feel like it's an opportunity to maybe give them some more firepower and some steam, and get a little more heat on them as a group.
Yeah, and the promos back and forth between them two would just be awesome.
Man, yeah, it really would be.
Games and stuff, yeah.
Really would be. So I know this is a difficult question, but I'm going to ask it. I know most of us thought last night was pretty darn epic. But what was the moment of the match for you? We'll start with Chris. What was the moment that stood out to you most, and you were like, that's my favorite moment? That I love that. What was that moment for you?
It was when, and part of it, they did such a great job on camera. It was when Rowan just came busting up out of all the chairs and stuff on him. He looked like Frankenstein just rising up or whatever. And then he just lost it and went looking for any weapon he could find, broke off that wall and started hitting people with it. Like that was epic to me.
Yeah, that was pretty darn epic. Joe, what about you, man? What was the standout moment in chat? I want to get your thoughts on this one too. I want to read out some of them.
I got to go back to when Nikki hit that German on when she hit that German on him. That was fantastic, because I mean that's his move, right? And the fact that this is something you don't normally see, right? We don't normally see matches like this. We've seen matches like this in TNA where they have cross-gender and men and women on the same teams most of the time. Now it's changing a little bit, which is awesome. Jordan Grace was attacking some men the last time this happened. So you don't see this often, though, where a woman will go over and take out a guy. And just seeing her do this was just shocking to me. I watched her wander over. I'm like, no way, she's not going to do that. And then, of course, the fact that she got it, and she laid him out with it too. Like, it wasn't, and he sold it really well. It was just phenomenal that he allowed her that moment. And then, like I said earlier, look at, that expression on her face. That's That's like when someone scores a game-winning touchdown in a big football game right there. Yeah, you know, and they're like, I mean, come on, that it can't help but smile when you see that. That she and what it creates there is it makes you now know that she is a big part of this group. You cannot overlook her thinking that she's, who cares if she's outside the ring. She showed you that she's going to get involved if need be. And so, yeah, I that was it, man. When I could not believe that, because I'm there trying to take pictures at the same time, and I couldn't even get pictures of this really well. I had to get them after the fact because I'm trying to, and I'm like, no way. And then she did it. I'm like, yes. And so yeah, that was awesome. But the Rowan moment with the wall, fantastic too. Because who does that, right?
Right.
Who gets a wall?
I've never ever seen like that before.
Yeah, it was so good, man.
Let me read out some of the ones from the chat here. Deanna said, I cracked up when Nikki did a peekaboo under the ring.
That was fantastic too. Yeah.
Clown saying Rowan ripping the piece of the wall off and using it to bludgeon people.
Nice use of the word bludgeon there. Yeah, nice.
Absolutely. Bonker saying the German on Chad. John G saying the German on Chad. Jeremy saying, I love that they made Nikki look like an enforcer. And I think we talked about that not too long ago. And, you know, everyone had their thoughts. And, you know, we find out that maybe Nikki's the enforcer after all. Jesse saying, I love the whole darn thing. Nikki's German suplex, Gacy flipping up on the ring upside down like he does. Some of the cool moves, Rowan tearing the barricade apart, smacking people with it, and Howdy at the end getting involved. Yes. So what do we think of that? Go ahead, Chris.
That's another part I really liked too, was right after the match, like the way Nikki went over and like gave a hug to Gacy and to Loomis. Like you could just tell the emotion on their face and how much that meant to them. Like, you know, it's so cool that these people that weren't necessarily involved with Bray before, how you can just tell how much they've gotten tied into this now, that they're, you know, getting to be a part of this and how emotional it is for them and what it means to them. So I think that's so cool. We've seen it a lot after their matches, how you can just see the emotion on their face and they get together and hug and do their pose and stuff. It's just so awesome.
Yeah, I agree, Chris. Like, it's the fact that it's almost like and you know, Howdy, some of his things mentioned, they're like a band of misfits. There were people that really nobody cared about. Nobody wanted to give any credit to. You know, kind of lost, right? They were lost souls. He talks about that with the cave, and they were lost, and they were lost.
Oh, every one of them.
Yeah, they didn't know what to do with Gacy. You know, C mentioned him, talked about him being like trying to be the next Bray, but he wasn't really going anywhere. Nikki was the superhero, but then that thing just kind of died out, and there was nothing left for her to do. And the same thing with Loomis. Loomis was all over the place. Nobody just really knew what to do with him. So, yeah, I agree with you. They're gonna be amazingly grateful to this because of everything. And I'm sure every night that they go out there, they're feeling the emotions that Bo is feeling as well. And probably a lot of that is feeling grateful that, you know, Bray isn't here, but we are going to keep up his legacy. We're going to take this. We're going to run with this. We're going to really kill these roles, and we are going to have an absolute blast every time that we get to do this. And I'm sure they are. I'm sure they're enjoying this. I know they are.
Yeah, absolutely. You can tell that they're enjoying it, which, I mean, for multiple reasons. You think about paying tribute to Bray. You think about them having a career resurgence, each of them individually, but collectively as a family. And I think that if you were to sit them down and ask them, I'm pretty sure they'd say it's pretty darn special. So yeah, so just great stuff last night, I thought.
You had that picture up a little while ago with Loomis perched on the thing. Oh my God, that was awesome too. Like, I don't know what he's got on his hands, but it almost looks like he's like those, whatever that is that's sticking out of his hands. When I saw that, I'm like, he looks like a damn bird, dude. Like he's sitting up there like a buzzard. He's playing that role, and I'm like, that's pretty sick, man. Like even the leggings and stuff, like the pads he's got there, it looks like they're almost like scales, which would be akin to like a big bird's legs and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but man,
that's the cool thing too, is that how good a job they've done at putting all these people are fitting those characters so bad. I mean, Gacy too. Just he's wearing like the blue and red wristbands like Huskus did, and the clothing and stuff. Like he does such a good job in that, and with Loomis too. Like we can't say enough good things about this. I feel like.
Oh my gosh, yeah, they just are. They're taking these characters and they're running with it, and you can just tell that. Sometimes in wrestling, right? You have characters that you see are being done, but you can kind of tell that the wrestler that's doing it doesn't necessarily like it, and they don't necessarily want to do it. They'll do it because it's their job, but they're not really into it. But man, you could tell these guys are just they're just all in. They're all in to this whole thing.
To that point, these guys feel like Seth Rollins. Like I feel that about Seth Rollins. You can tell Seth Rollins just loves the character he's playing. He goes all out every time he's out there. Yeah, these guys are doing that too.
Yeah, it's amazing to watch. I mean, the passion and dedication behind it are certainly visible and appreciated. So.
And Chad Gable's dead again.
That shot right there too, I feel like is a good end point for this feud too.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, it really is.
Like if you were writing the horror movie script and you leave it at a place where the horror villains, if you want to call them that, or the monsters win, this is what you envision when you're writing that, a triumphant group that is looking over their their unfortunate adversary. And but I will say Chad brought a lot of this on himself, so
he certainly did.
Yeah
he certainly did. He wrote his mouth wrote a check that his body couldn't cash.
Yes.
So
he again, do you think that there may be, I think you both said that this is a good ending point. This is a kind of a different take on all of this, but what do you think this does to Gable in terms of his confidence in his newfound family? We'll start with Joe.
What it should do is teach him a lesson, because that's really what they're all about anyway. So what it should do is it should convince him that now I better be nice to my families. I better respect the people that are with me. And look, this could lead several directions in wrestling. Like, I don't think they'll break them up because obviously they just started the faction. So I think more so leaning towards the way where Chad may end up like sucking it up and saying to them, you know what, I'm sorry, I effed up. I apologize to you guys and stuff. I think they'll go that route rather than because they could very easily just have all these guys be like, look what you put us through, dude. Like, look what you did to us, man. We did all this for you. And look, if he doesn't change his ways, he's going to be out of a faction pretty soon too, because they're going to get fed up with him as well eventually, and he'll be out on his own. So, but yeah, man, I think, that's what Bray used to do, right? When Bray would mark his targets, many times the targets would change. They would change either sometimes from a heel into a face, or sometimes in different ways. And I'm sure this will have that impression on Chad, probably more than the rest of American made, I think. So, yep.
Chris, your thoughts, man?
I could definitely see that being the case, or just him, going full ego and just being like, oh, you know what? They're just a bunch of freaks anyway. Whatever. I'm not worried about them. Let's focus on we're made for greatness, so let's just move on. We don't care about them. I could see them going that way too. It's probably one of those two ways, or maybe a mix of both or something.
Yeah. I have a weird question about Chad Gable. Do you think, and I forget the name, so I know someone in the chat will remember. Do you think that Chad Gable's kind of like a parallel to the parrot that Bray had in the Firefly Funhouse that he accidentally offed?
It's all right. What was that? He had a name, didn't he?
Yeah.
What was his name? Somebody in the chat's got to know. I can't remember.
Somebody's got to know.
It was something with a P, wasn't it? It was 2 P's.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I can't remember now. It was like an adverb type word.
Was it Pasquale or something like that?
I can't remember. I remember Friendship Frog, but I can't remember if he had a name.
I don't remember that episode.
Yeah, it was just like a one-off. He was just on there, and then it was funny because it was like he accidentally got off, but
yeah.
And then they showed a little screen at the end of it. It was kind of funny.
It might have been Pasquale. Now that you mentioned it, it was a weird name, but it was something with a P. Pasquale Danis. Yeah, yep. There you go. It was Pasquale. Yep. Oh man, it makes me giggle thinking of stuff that Bray used to do. That was
man. Like I'm thinking about the next step for many of the opponents, and how, I guess, what the outcome of them losing to the Wyatt Sicks means, if that makes any sense at all. Like, what consequences do they have? What does this change them at all? And I know that's more of a supernatural thing, how people looked at it before, but I think there's a way to do it where it's not a supernatural thing. It's just them dealing with their own failure, I guess. Does that make any sense to anyone? Do you think, Chris, that we get anything like that where it kind of changes the person that's been beaten, changes their thought process at all, how they approach things?
I can see that. I'm just wondering how you do that. And obviously Gable's now established himself in this new faction as a heel faction, so I guess I'd just be curious to see how if they could do that but still maintain them as heels, because normally sometimes you would think that would make them maybe turn face, but I don't see them doing that here.
No, and I think you really lean, if let's take Chad Gable for instance. He started becoming a heel once he got away from Otis and Tozawa and what's her name?
Maxine Dupree.
Yeah. So he was moving away from it, and then once we got the attack, that's when he really started leaning into this, this character now. So I think having a heel lean even harder into being a heel would be a cool concept. And a face just being like super obnoxious face. Just like, always trying to, I imagine something like them spoofing John Cena and always posing for the pictures and really nice to the fans, but then you get a glimpse into who they really are, and it's like they're miserable because they have to be that way. I'm just like, I'll say this whole thing has sparked some kind of creative flow, and I'm thinking about things in ways that I haven't in a while. And I think that's what's so cool about this, is because for me, it feels very familiar.
Mhm.
It feels like I can dig into a storyline again and think about what certain things mean again, as opposed to just kind of seeing what's on the surface and and that's it. So I'm really digging all of this. So
Yeah.
I think that would be cool to see some changes like that. I mean, like I know, like we talked about before, like we saw that some with Bray. I mean, look at Seth Rollins today. I mean, that change that the character he is now really started after his feud with the Fiend.
yeah.
I'm reading about Pasquale. I had to look up Pasquale now. Said he promised to reveal a new friend on the Funhouse. As the segment started, Bray introduced Pasquale, the persevering parrot. Bray went to open the box for him to fly out. Unfortunately, Pasquale had died because Bray forgot to cut any breathing holes in the box.
I had to look
that up. The parrot didn't even survive coming out of the box.
No.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's I think that if anything changes with American Made, one thing I could see is Ivy Nile possibly saying, screw this. I'm out of here. I could maybe see that because, yeah, she, really in there, she's kind of just kind of a manager. She probably won't wrestle very much unless they have they go their own ways and do singles stuff. But to Chris's point, Gable is playing one of those heels who, no matter how much you beat the crap out of him, he's still going to be cocky. He's still going to be obnoxious. And the Creed brothers are right there with him. So I don't think any of them will probably change their ways. But if we do, maybe Ivy might be like, yeah, I'm not going through that again. I'm out. And then she might just walk away. But yeah, it's really, it's crazy to think about it. But what's nice in a way though, too, Jeff, to your point, is that we don't have to be concerned about the whole supernatural part of that, where they do have to change, right? Because, this is what Bray does. This is what the Fiend does. The Fiend changes you, right? Bray said that himself. So we don't have to worry about that anymore because that's not what they are. They're basically, they were just fighting. They were in a wrestling match. And, to Chris's point, a perfect heel thing for Gable to say would be, we're done with them. We're over them. I'm done. They're, like Chris said, they're a bunch of morons. They're a bunch of nobodies. We're out. We're done with those guys. We're finished with them. Like an obnoxious heel would do. So yeah, that's
Especially spinning it is like I could see them saying, we're just wasting our time with that. We're gonna go after gold, something that means something matters. Like
yeah, move the goalpost a little bit.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're gonna start to wrap up here, but I did want to do this, and I forgot. So I've been known to forget this. So if you're here, I know Jesse was trying to help us out with this earlier, but if you're here, if you're on YouTube, drop a like on the video, and if you're new to the channel, welcome. We're glad you're here. If you don't mind hitting that subscribe button and hitting that post notification bell so you know when we have future content. So and speaking of future content, tonight is a big night on NXT. Tazzy's doing a watch along for that. I'm gonna try to pop over at least for a little bit. I do have to do some more work, unfortunately.
Jeff, did you happen to see the shadow in the locker room?
I did.
Oh my gosh, it looks a hell of a lot like Moose might be there.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. So I'm gonna be watching.
You wanted that too. That's Obafemi and Moose, right? If that's the case, holy cow, man.
Yeah. I need those two to match up. I need that to happen. So yeah, big night. So join Tazzy for that. I know he was in the chat before. I don't know if he's still here, but maybe he can drop a link in the chat. And then this week we have TNA, our TNA watch along on Thursday. And Friday, we're probably gonna have to talk about. I've had a couple things come up, so me and Joe are gonna talk about that because we might not be able to do Victory Road.
Emergence.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
Victory Road.
Victory Road. That's right, Victory Road. Yeah, we might have to skip it this week, guys. Unfortunately, I have tickets to that special showing of Friday the 13th in the movies, part 4, and yeah, we might have to skip that one. Apologies, but I kind of forgot about it. I know I mentioned it on the Sunday show, but yeah, we're probably gonna have to skip that one. So
yeah, but we'll let you all know about that pretty soon. But yeah, and then Joe, we'll talk about Sunday.
yeah.
And let you all know about that too. But yeah, we got some stuff coming up, but we'll definitely be back here next Tuesday because we gotta talk about what's next and what we get next week. I'm interested to see now that we kind of have some finality with this feud. What's next? Do we start to get teases like or do we get more vignettes to learn a little more of the backstory? I could dig that. So James put the link in the chat for Tazzie's watch along. So definitely check that out. So we're gonna land the plane here and give some final thoughts. So we'll start with Joe and end with Chris.
Oh man, it's been a ride. We've only been on this journey for a little bit here, and it's been a heck of a ride so far, and a great feud for them to break into and to start off on. The one last thing I have to point out here is I just have to say this. There were people questioning some of the people that were put in this group. I love every person that's in it. I think they were all tremendous picks. I wouldn't rather have anyone else in there. And I know that's going to include Braun Strowman. That's going to include Alexa Bliss. I am perfectly fine with what they've got here. I think it's a wonderful group. And I personally, and I know people may disagree with me, but I personally don't think they need anyone else. I don't need anyone else brought in. I don't need anybody else. I think everybody else. Look, Braun is killing it too on his own. He's going to have that big feud with Bronson Reed, which is huge. And when Alexa comes back, I think that she would be better suited coming back. And I know Chris mentioned this on previous shows as old Alexa, and have her come in. Maybe she even gets into a feud with Nikki Cross at some point in time. So, but I'm 100% sold on this particular group. I don't need any more brought in. I think we're good.
Good. Chris.
Something I wanted to talk about, we didn't get to talk about last week, I wanted to mention too, is I don't know if anybody noticed during Bash in Berlin, they did a little promo video for Bad Blood, and very briefly in that video you can see a little clip of Uncle Howdy in there. So typically, they're pretty good about not putting people in there, especially someone like him, if he wasn't going to be a part of it. So I think that means the Wyatt Sicks are going to be at Bad Blood in some kind of capacity. Maybe not necessarily a match. Maybe they attack someone or something like that. But I'd say, and then obviously that pay-per-view very fits their theme and stuff. So I think we'll see them do something at Bad Blood, if not a match or some kind of attack. So yeah, I'd say from now till then we'll probably get some vignettes or something and leading up to that, and then maybe they attack their next victim at Bad Blood.
That's a great point. Great point. And it could be heel or face. They don't have to go in one direction. Imagine Jey Uso, who's going for another shot at a title. Mm-hmm. And imagine they come after him, turning on his family.
Yeah, he's already said he didn't want that smoke, but he may get coming to him anyway.
Yep. Yep.
He may not be able to avoid that smoke.
Yep. Yep.
All right, guys. Well, this was a great conversation. Looking forward to the next one. My internet was a little glitchy, so that's why I'm not on camera. So helps out sometimes when I'm not on camera. But Chris, Joe, thank you both so much. Everyone in the chat, thank you so much for being a part of the show. And chatting with us this evening. But yeah, so hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, please and thank you. And we will see you next time for Fireflies Forever. Take care, everyone.